Let us explore whether or not anxiety is a normal effect of meditation. This evening's lesson is drawn from a good-hearted question found on Reddit. Whoopsie, that was an error. The question begins, is it normal to feel more anxious or irritable when you start meditating? The question continues. I started reading The Mind Illuminated, and I've done 2 30-minute sessions the last 2 days. And I'm so worked up, anxious, and irritable now. Work is way harder, though. And I skipped the gym to meditate, which makes me feel behind. So let's get back to the opening question. Is it normal to feel more anxious and irritable when you start meditating? Well, that's weird. The annoying answer is, it depends. It depends on which meditation instructions you are applying. You can have the purest heart, but if you are applying faulty instructions, you're going to get faulty results. Allow me to illustrate. Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks, but not in the fun, tingly way. Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of humans, yes, even meditation teachers, are going to act as if being rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel was optimal. And while behaving this way might create some results, none of those results will be peace or love. The minority, so when these people who are rigid and controlling teach us to meditate, they inevitably insist that we practice active concentration, typically upon the breath. Now, the only way to actively meditate upon anything is by using discrete mechanisms within our brain, such as the medial prefrontal cortex. Now, there is a very special relationship between our prefrontal cortex and our amygdala, this thing that looks like an almond down at the bottom of our brain. This thing that functions as a seat of aggression and anxiety. You guessed it. The more we concentrate, the more we stimulate our amygdala, the more we're going to feel anxious and aggressive. This isn't unique to you. You're not a bad person. This is universal. But there is a wonderful solution. Due to a happy accident of evolution, in addition to possessing a bright and shiny prefrontal cortex, we also possess an autonomic nervous system, which has 2 facets, a sympathetic aspect and a parasympathetic aspect. Let us begin with mindfulness. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we access the sympathetic nervous system found in the middle third of our spinal cord. This bad boy is evolved to help us to perceive vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. What does it help us to perceive? It helps us to perceive sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like, in addition to emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. That could feel overwhelming, yes? Fortunately, every time we exhale, I should say, fortunately, there's meditation, which we access every time we exhale. For when we do, we automatically plug in to our parasympathetic nervous system found within the lower and the upper portions of that same spinal cord. This parasympathetic nervous system has evolved for both physical relaxation as well as mental release. Now, what are the fringe benefits of regularly training in, not in concentration, but in mindfulness and meditation? And oh yeah, by the way, some people say, oh, we're not concentrating on the breath, we're being mindful of the breath. No, you're concentrating on the breath and you're trying to confuse, they're using concentration and they're just calling it mindfulness. But concentration uses this part of the brain, and mindfulness uses this part of the central nervous system. They are completely different. Now check this out. Let's look at 3 fringe benefits of working with our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. First, it calms the amygdala, seat of aggression and anxiety. Second, it excites this thing right here. This thing that kind of looks like the letter C. This thing that the big kids call the anterior cingulate gyrus. That functions as the hub of our mirror neurons, the seat of empathy and compassion and love. This is why the late Tuchel Tendup insisted that the highest love was spontaneous and uncontrived. And now for the third fringe benefit. Train in mindfulness and meditation for as little as 5 minutes every 12 hours or so. And you will find that your choices, utterances, and deeds begin to flow from the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity. Nope, not scattered spontaneity, but centered spontaneity. Now you, if you're terribly clever, you might cross your arms, lift your chin, look down your nose and say, hey, if that's the case, well, why do we even need to meditate? In a word, Urkel. Urkel was clever, Urkel was good-hearted, but he sure tripped over his own feet, didn't he? Same thing with our brain. Our brain is, the organelles of our brain are as cluttered as the storage area of a hoarder. But here's this amazing news. Every time we silently, mentally, and passively recite the demonstrative pronoun this in harmony with our inhalation, this exact same 3-ring circus cooperates effortlessly with our sympathetic nervous system. But wait, there's more. Every time we silently, mentally, and passively recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, this exact same Borg circus cooperates automatically with our parasympathetic nervous system. So, I'm not sure if you've ever been inside the vault of a bank and checked out a safety deposit box, but there's 2 keys, one for the manager and one for the customer. We have 2 keys, this and ease. And you fit them into the keyhole of inhalation and exhalation. And they open the safety deposit box of mindfulness and meditation, which I think is pretty damn cool. You know, I think it could be splendid if together as a team we chanted and meditated after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I've spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering all the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that you won't have to. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Tonight, let us play with the latest iteration of love mindfulness meditation and the 3 marks of reality, which kind of sounds like a Motown band from the early 60s, doesn't it? Not that I was alive then. So I'm going to tap, let's see here. Let's begin by setting intention, by chanting love and releases wishes for universal enlightenment and well-being. And though we generously use the word may, this is not a prayer to a real or imagined entity. We are simply using words to gently guide our own intention. May all circumstances of all beings appearing yet impermanent be as safe and abundant as a real or imagined Buddha's land. May all minds of all beings are yet impermanent be as joyfully enlightened as a real or imagined Buddha's mind. May all relationships of all beings resounding yet impermanent be as peacefully loving as a real or imagined Buddha's speech. May all bodies of all beings sensual yet impermanent be as beautifully healthy as a real or imagined Buddha's form. Before we meditate, let us gently contemplate. Let us bring the mental into the path of love, mindfulness, meditation, and the 3 marks of existence. Let us begin by bringing the citta mental into the path of dukkha stress, which is the 1st mark of reality. Together. Each of us has experienced the stress of not getting our mental needs met, how we want, when we want, for as long as we want, if at all. So we're going to take all these words and condense them down into 6 syllables, which we're going to divide between our inhalation and our exhalation. And please bear in mind that this question is purely rhetorical. Now let us bring the mental, the citta mental, into the path of metta, love. Since we are not alone in our frustrations, we could also long that others' mental needs also be met. Now let us bring the citta mental into the path of anicca and permanence, which is the 2nd mark of reality. Observing the coming and going of mental phenomena, help us see that ever-changing one and all, there is nothing permanent to grasp. Finally, let us bring the citta mental into the path of anatta, no self, which is the 3rd mark of reality. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever mental phenomena we noticed during our previous inhalation could feel less like our identity, as if it simply did not define us. And now, at long last, let's meditate, using the instructions we received in the opening lesson. So, the goal is to collect or to perform 4 collections of 144 rounds. That's a whole lot of weird words. Let's figure this out. Well, we can count our 4 collections on the great knuckles of our right hand. So, for instance, at the beginning of the first collection, we can use our left index finger to trace down and find the great knuckle at the base of our left index finger, and then place our hands in our lap in such a manner that the tip of the left index finger gently supports the great knuckle of the right index finger. So that's how you count your first collection of 12 sets of 12 rounds. What is a round? Let us pretend that a round is simply one inhalation followed by one exhalation. Well, how can we count 12 of them? Simple. On our right hand, during each inhalation, we can slide the tip of our left thumb upon one of the creases, one of the 3 sets of creases upon each finger. So for this first set of 12 rounds, let's practice together. All the while remembering, that stutter, huh? All the while remembering to silently, mentally, and passively recite this during our inhalation and the verb ease during our exhalation. Whoops, I started with my little finger instead of starting with my index finger. That's on me. I should have started with my index finger. It's better for the energy. Anyway, we've learned how to count one set of 12 rounds. How do we count the remaining 11 sets? Simple. On our left hand, we cut the creases, but these creases are not for a single round. They're for the sets that we count on our right hand. First set, second set, third set, 4th, 5th, 6th set, all the way over to 12th set. All the while, remember the left index finger is supporting the great knuckle at the base of the right index finger. It feels ungainly and overwhelming, that's okay. Practice this every 12 hours, and within a fortnight, you'll feel like you've been doing it your whole life. If you hit a roadblock, type your question down in the chat window. I will check for questions approximately once every 15 minutes. Let us now begin our second quarter of meditation, our second collection of 12 sets of 12 rounds. Let us count this second collection by using our left middle finger, the tip of our left middle finger, to trace the back of our right middle finger until we come to the great knuckle at its base. Doing so helps the subtle energies in our body to effortlessly and spontaneously gather at our heart chakra, if you will, or our heart wheel, known sometimes as the Dharma wheel. Let's fold our hands in our lap. While we do so, we can count rounds on the creases of our right hand. And we can count sets of 12 rounds on the creases of our left hand. Oh, pardon me. We now begin our third quarter of this evening's meditation practice. We count our third quarter on our third knuckle, and this is how. We take our left ring finger, the tip of our left ring finger, and use it to trace the back of our right ring finger until we come to the great knuckle at the base of the right ring finger. We then place our hands in our lap, gently supporting the great knuckle at the base of the right ring finger with the tip of the left ring finger. During each inhalation, we advance our right thumb and count 12 rounds upon its creases, beginning with the index finger. On our left hand, we count 12 sets of 12 rounds on each crease, beginning with the left index finger. Supporting the using the tip of our left ring finger to support the great knuckle at the base of our right ring finger gently induces the subtle energies of our body to coalesce at our navel wheel about a thumb's width before our spine. Welcome to this evening's live stream. As the most efficient way to practice mindfulness is to silently, mentally, and passively recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation. Similarly, the most efficient way to practice meditation is to silently, mentally, and passively recite the one-syllable verb ease during each exhalation. Welcome to the final quarter of this evening's meditation. We keep track of the fourth quarter in a very simple manner. We use the tip of our left little finger to trace the back of our right little finger until it finds the great knuckle. We gently rest the great knuckle of our right little finger upon the tip of our left little finger in our lap. Not only does this keep track that this is the fourth quarter, or fourth set of 144 breaths, or rounds, but it helps our subtle energy to gently coalesce into the so-called secret wheel, or chakra, located about a thumb's width before the spine, approximately midway, vertically speaking, between the navel and the pelvis. We do not have to visualize it at all. We can assume that a round is simply one inhalation followed by one exhalation. During each inhalation, we can advance the tip of our left thumb, beginning with our index finger and counting 3 creases upon each finger until we've counted 12 rounds. On our left hand, we do the same thing, only we're counting sets of 12 rounds. And that's how you get 12 sets of 12 rounds, or 144. Now, could that seem overwhelming at first blush? Yeah. But practice it, once every 12 hours for a fortnight, and it'll feel like old hat. Oof. Let us seal our practice by chanting love and releases wishes for universal enlightenment and well-being. May all circumstances of all beings appearing yet impermanent be as safe and abundant as a real or imagined Buddha's land. May all minds of all beings clear yet impermanent be as joyfully enlightened as a real or imagined Buddha's mind. May all relationships of all beings resounding yet impermanent be as peacefully loving as a real or imagined Buddha's speech. May all bodies of all beings sensual yet impermanent be as beautifully healthy as a real or imagined Buddha's form. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10 2/3 hours, I would very much like to return to tomorrow's early meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.